Let me tell you about two people I want you to think about. The first one graduated college, landed a solid job, worked hard through their 20s, got the promotions, earned the raises, did everything the responsible adult checklist said to do. By 32, they are earning more money than their parents ever did at the same age. Good salary, decent apartment, a car that does not embarrass them, a 401k they contribute to because someone told them to. And every single month, they wonder where the money went. The second person makes almost the same salary, same city, same cost of living, same student loan situation. But something is quietly different about them. Not dramatically different. Not Instagram-worthy different. Just different in the way that only becomes visible years later when one person has options and the other person has obligations. From the outside, their lives look almost identical. But financially, they are heading in completely different directions. And the gap between them has almost nothing to do with what either of them earns. It has everything to do with something that nobody explained to either of them when they were 22 and signing their first employment contract. Something that the financial content they consumed in their 20s never quite addressed clearly enough to actually change behavior. That is what this video is about. This is not really about your salary. And it is definitely not another lecture about coffee purchases or avocado toast or any of the surface-level conversation that passes for financial advice in most places. The hidden reason, the structural one, the one that is operating right now in your financial life, whether you are aware of it or not. By the end of this video, you're going to see it clearly. And once you see it clearly, it becomes very difficult to unsee, which is uncomfortable at first and genuinely useful after that. Here is what nobody tells you about your 30s. Your 30s are the decade where financial decisions made in your 20s stop being theoretical and start being visible. The habits you built or did not build. The assets you started or did not start. The margin you protected or let disappear. All of it starts showing up in real-life outcomes around 30 to 35 in ways that your 20s completely hid. In your 20s, everything is potential. Everyone is figuring it out. Nobody has really arrived anywhere yet, so the differences between people are easy to explain away. Oh, they come from money. Oh, they had connections. Oh, they got lucky with that job. But by 32, those explanations start wearing thin. Because you know people who came from the same circumstances as you who are quietly building something. And you know people with better circumstances who are somehow stuck. And the difference is not luck, and it is not connections, and it is not some secret strategy that wealthy people pass down to their children. The difference is something much more specific and much more fixable than most people realize. Here is the hidden reason. Most people in their 30s are still operating on the financial identity they accidentally developed in their 20s without ever consciously choosing it. Think about what happened in your 20s financially. You got your first real paycheck. You felt the relief of being able to cover your expenses. You bought some things you had been putting off. You upgraded a few areas of your life because you finally could. You learned how to survive on your income and maybe even feel comfortable on it. And that whole process, that cycle of earning and spending and occasionally saving what was left, became the automatic default. Nobody ever stopped you and said, wait, before this becomes your habit for the next 40 years, let us talk about what this pattern actually produces over time. Nobody had that conversation. Your employer did not have it. Your bank did not have it. Your parents probably did not have it because nobody had it with them either. The system handed you an income and left you to figure out what to do with it, quietly assuming you would arrive at the same conclusions that most people arrive at. And most people arrive at comfort. They build a comfortable life. They maintain it. They wonder why the number is not growing. The real issue you never identify you're still not wealthy in your 30s is not your salary. It is that you have been running on a financial operating system that was designed for survival and comfort, and nobody ever told you that you needed to upgrade it. That operating system has a specific name in behavioral psychology. They call it the default mode. And the default mode of the average American adult's financial life looks like this. Income arrives. Fixed expenses get covered automatically. Lifestyle fills the remaining space. If there is anything left after lifestyle gets its share, it goes towards savings. If there is not anything left, which is most months, the savings account stays where it is, or gets dipped into for the expense that came up unexpectedly. The default mode is not lazy, is not stupid, is actually quite efficient at producing exactly what it was built to produce: a stable, comfortable life that requires your continued presence at work to sustain it. The problem is that stable and comfortable was never the goal. You did not grow up imagining yourself at 45 saying, "I am really glad I maintained a comfortable lifestyle for 20 years. You imagined something with more space in it, more freedom, more choice, the ability to do things because you wanted to rather than because you had to. That version of life comes from a completely different way of handling money. And here is the brutal truth about the upgrade. Most people never make it because the default mode is not uncomfortable enough to force change and not fulfilling enough to produce it. Now let us talk about the specific way this plays out in your 30s. Because your 30s have a particular cruelty to them that your 20s did not. In your 30s, the expenses get real. A wedding, a house, children, aging parents who need things, career transitions that cost money before they make money, health expenses that your 22-year-old self genuinely did not consider. The financial demands of your 30s are significantly heavier than your 20s, and they arrive faster than you expect, and they do not wait for you to feel financially ready. And what most people do in response to heavier expenses is the most natural thing in the world. They focus on income. They work harder. They chase the next promotion. They take on more responsibility at work because more responsibility means more salary, and more salary means the expenses stop feeling so tight. This is the trap within the trap, because here is what happens when income increases in a life where the default operating system is still running. The expenses grow to meet the income, not because of irresponsibility, because of a principle called Parkinson's law applied to money. Work expands to fill the time available, and spending expands to fill the income available. It is not a character flaw. It is a feature of how human beings relate to available resources. You earn more. Life gets a little nicer. The apartment is slightly better. The car is a modest upgrade. The vacations improve. The dining out becomes more frequent. None of it feels excessive. All of it feels earned. And then you get to the end of the month, and the margin is identical to what it was when you earned less. Same margin, higher income, more expensive lifestyle. Different number, same trap. The thing that distinguishes the people who quietly build wealth in their 30s from the people who earn well and stay stuck is not discipline in the motivational poster sense. It is a specific relationship with money that produces different automatic behaviors. The stuck person sees income as the destination. If I just earn more, things will work out. The building person sees income as raw material. This is what I have to work with. How do I deploy it most effectively? That sounds small, but it quietly affects almost every financial decision after that. When income is the destination, every raise feels like a rival. When income is raw material, every raise is a resource allocation question. The building person does not feel the raise as relief. They feel it as an opportunity to increase the percentage going toward assets before the lifestyle has a chance to absorb it. And that moment, right after a raise before the lifestyle expands, is one of the most important financial moments most people completely waste. Here is what typically happens. Raise arrives. Person feels good about it. Within 3 to 6 months, the higher income becomes the new normal. The lifestyle quietly upgrades to absorb it. The margin stays roughly the same. The raise is gone in the form of a nicer version of the same life. Here is what the building person does instead. Raise arrives. Before doing anything else, they increase their automated investment contribution by the majority of the raise amount. Lifestyle gets a small portion of the improvement. Assets get the majority. The raise gets deployed before the lifestyle has any say in the matter. This is not extreme frugality. They still enjoy some of the raise. But the majority of every financial improvement goes into building something rather than maintaining something. Over a decade, the difference between those two approaches is not incremental. It is transformational. Let us talk about what is actually happening underneath this pattern at a deeper level. Because this is where the real hidden reason lives. Most people in their 30s have a relationship with money that is primarily emotional and reactive rather than strategic and proactive. Money feels tight, so they work harder. An unexpected expense arrives, so they stress. A raise comes, so they feel relief. A bill is paid, so they relax until the next one. Every financial response is a reaction to how the current situation feels. And feeling-based financial management produces one outcome with extraordinary consistency. You end up wherever the feelings take you, which is usually back to the same place you started. The building person has done something specific to break this pattern. They have made the key financial decisions in advance so that they do not have to make them in the moment when emotions are running the show. Automated investments that move before the lifestyle gets any of the income. A pre-decided percentage that goes to asset building before any other financial decision happens. A net worth metric they check monthly instead of, or in addition to, their account balance. A clear definition of what they are building toward that is specific enough to make the sacrifice feel connected to a real outcome. These structural decisions remove emotion from the equation. The money moves automatically. The investing happens whether you feel motivated or not. The system runs in the background while life happens in the foreground. That is the upgrade. From a reactive emotional relationship with money to a proactive structural one. And it is available to anyone willing to make a few deliberate decisions and then let automation do the work. Here is what this looks like in practice at 35. Person A earns $90,000 a year. They have been on the default mode their entire adult life. They have a modest 401k because contributions were automatic from the beginning. Their savings account has a few thousand in it. Their net worth is somewhere around $30,000, including the retirement account. They feel financially stressed despite earning more than the median American household income. Person B earns $85,000 a year, slightly less than Person A. But 6 years ago they made a decision. They started treating the difference between their income and their living expenses as a deployment resource rather than as money available to spend. They automated 20% of every paycheck into investments before the money ever hit their checking account. When they got raises, 80% of each raise went to increasing the investment contribution before lifestyle could absorb it. Person B at 35 has a net worth approaching $200,000. Not because they earn more. Because of what they did with what they had every single month for 6 years. Same city, similar income, similar cost of living, completely different financial position. Not because of luck or inheritance or crypto bet that paid off. Because of a structural decision made 6 years ago that most people never make because nobody explained the difference clearly enough to make it feel urgent. The urgency is real, even when it does not feel urgent. This is one of the most important things to understand about wealth building in your 30s. Compound interest does not care whether you feel motivated today. It does not pause while you figure things out. It does not give you extra time because you were busy raising children or managing a career transition or just surviving a particularly difficult season of life. It runs continuously, and the cost of every delayed month is permanent. The 35-year-old who starts investing today will not arrive at the same place as the 30-year-old who started 5 years ago. The 5 years of compounding that did not happen cannot be recovered. That time is gone. And the most frustrating part is that during those 5 years the person was not being irresponsible. They were just running on the default mode that nobody told them to replace. This is not meant to produce guilt. Guilt is not useful here. This is meant to produce urgency. Because the person reading this at 34 still has a significantly better outcome available than the person who reads this at 44 and does the same things. The best time to change the way you handle money was 6 years ago. The second best time is today. Not next month when things feel more settled. Not after the next raise. Not when the kids are older. Today. With whatever percentage is currently possible, however small it feels, deploying it into an appreciating asset before the lifestyle has any chance to absorb it. There is one more piece of the hidden reason that is worth naming directly. Most people in their 30s are measuring the wrong thing. They measure salary. They compare their income to their peers and use that comparison as a proxy for financial progress. When the salary is going up, they feel like they are winning. When it stalls, they feel behind. The entire emotional relationship with financial well-being is organized around what the employer pays them. That is measuring the input instead of the output. And measuring the input while ignoring the output is how people end up with impressive salaries and bewildering net worths. The correct measurement is net worth trajectory. Not your net worth as a single number, but where it is going and how fast. The person whose net worth is growing by $30,000 a year on an $85,000 salary is doing something the person earning $120,000 and growing their net worth by $10,000 a year is not doing. Switch the measurement, and you switch the motivation. Because net worth trajectory tells you immediately whether the system you are running is producing the outcome you want. Salary tells you what your employer thinks your labor is worth. Net worth trajectory tells you whether your decisions are building your future or maintaining your present. Your 30s can be the decade that changes everything, or the decade that looks back on as the years when you meant to start. The hidden reason you are still not wealthy has nothing to do with your salary and everything to do with which operating system you are running. The habits that quietly keep you comfortable, or the habits that slowly build freedom. The upgrade is not complicated. Automate your investment contributions before lifestyle gets any of the income. Redirect the majority of every raise to assets before the lifestyle expands. Measure your net worth trajectory every month, not your account balance. Build a second income stream slowly and imperfectly before you need it. The process itself is actually straightforward. Not easy, but simple. And available to you right now regardless of what you currently earn. The gap between person A and person B is not talent or luck or a privileged start. It is a handful of structural decisions made early enough that compound interest could do its work. You can still be person B, but the decision has to happen before the comfort of the default mode convinces you it can wait another month. If this gave you a clearer picture of what has actually been happening in your financial life, not as a criticism, but as a map, subscribe. Every week on this channel, we go deeper into the specific invisible systems that are shaping your financial future while most people never notice them. And if someone in your life is in their 30s working hard and earning decent money and genuinely confused about why it is not adding up the way they expected, send them this. Not as advice, just as a conversation starter. Because sometimes one honest explanation heard at the right moment changes an entire direction. See you in the next one.